that for you to break even, you only need to be in politics. We have a very important party called the Farmers' Party. They have an ideology that believes that if you have finished education of a certain level, you can also go for agriculture, and life begins from there. People leave money in the village, and they are running here for positions here. So we have such people.
Or people selling off land.
Yes, people selling off land to buy border borders, and they come here then.
Or perhaps going out without exactly where they're going to.
Yeah. So NCF is changing that narrative, changing that trend that life cannot go on just through leadership. For example, as you speak now, what is trending now in Ugakol is that political parties position themselves to elect the EYALA representatives. Each party is now lining up their best candidates so that we scoop that position. But we are saying, wait a minute. Out of those 10 who have come, for example, in UPC we have 10.
And you're supposed to pick one.
Apparently, I gave a pass. I gave a pass. I said the competition is so stiff. 8 returned the
nomination forms.
The nomination forms. Now, all the 8 are very good. But we need to prepare them that out of the 8, only 1
will be chosen.
Now, the remaining 7, life should not end there. We should learn to appreciate that if you also touch the other aspect and the other one, as these people go the other side, by the time they come back, for example, if you engaged in agriculture, they will find you more loaded than even the other one who went. But there is a trend in the country that has caused everybody to know, to even leave professional work to go for politics. In Uganda today and Zimbabwe and Nigeria, you will find for one to become I was a member, I contested to be a member of parliament in Tororo, and I lost. But my brother, I'm telling you that what you inject in that election, people inject more than 500 million.
No, just the same thing with now being given a guild president at
guild president, yes.
Being the president of UNSA, Uganda National Students Association. It's not now that you have really eloquently convinced your students, fellow students, that you are really going to do ABCD. We've always seen now sponsorship coming in.
Absolutely.
It's not actually winning an election goes hand in hand with your ability to mobilize the resources.
And it has gone down to young children. I have a daughter in P1. No, those days in our school, the class teacher would just appoint a monitor.
A monitor, yes.
But my daughter the other time came and was asking me, a 6-year-old girl, that daddy, buy for me some sweets. I needed to. I said, for what? That we are 3 girls who are competing, we needed to be a class monitor. I said, to become a class monitor, you need to buy sweets. I said, that's the environment. My friends are giving out sweets. A child of 6 years. You can now see that trend when it matures to another level. That to win a position in Uganda today.
At all levels.
At all levels. I'm saying you P1. Just to become not even a prefect, just a class monitor. Something that I bothered to explain to her that, don't you think a lot of your time will be there looking at children who are shouting instead of concentrating? He says, no, I deserve to be a leader. Now look at that trend 10 years down the road.
Now we are seeing a culture of where people think they should buy their way to leadership, whereas actually the practice before that you should merit your way to leadership.
Apparently in NCF, this planned activity in the 14 regions, we have identified specific facilitators who, among others, are going to engage, especially the youth. Why? Because of this component of unemployment. We have seen the youth being scattered left and right. And on the security arm of it, if these youths are not tamed, they can, most of them are rotting in prison. They walk in for some activity. By the time they realize they are rounded, and even the people who engage them to involve themselves in the riots or whatever, run away, their families remain like that. You go to prison, they are suffering. So NCF is deliberate on aspects of engaging those people. Say, look, if you had only remained and went to your garden, other than following these people who are following the rioters. By now, you would be with your wife, with your children at home. But look, your family cannot afford 5 million shillings to get a bail. And the person who brought you to this level has never visited you in prison. He's just at home there enjoying himself. Your parents, you don't have land even to sell.
For you to get out of that.
For you to engage a lawyer and get bail out of this. The land, when you look at the land at home, is not there. So NCF is deliberately, specifically trying to see how we can help this young generation by way of raising their awareness in terms of involvement in politics. We give them that, yes, it is important for you to participate in politics, but balance your politics in such a manner that before you even take a decision, seek consent of your parents. Most of these boys around, I don't know what could have happened. They take a decision only to slap their parents into pain. The parents at times even don't know that they have taken such a decision, only to leave the children with them. There are some you'll find from a very humble background, so much that if instead the old woman has pain. So NCF is deliberate on aspects of engaging those people in these next 4 years, such that we see a situation of somebody learning livelihood skills to earn a living, as opposed to waiting for positions, elective positions, because they will take one. And you have very many. Even within your political party itself, if we said we want a youth leader representing Jema in Bugiri, Baswalira will get a challenge. There are 1,000 youths, but the structure of the party wants one.
That needs one person.
Now, what about the remaining 90? So this is where NCF calls upon political leaders to be very candid to these youths that follow us and actually tell them what they deserve to hear, at the risk of even disagreeing with them. Because most of them will not take it on a civil play. If you engage them, they say you are preferring Gundi because he's a fellow Musoga to me. And there is tension all over. So I call upon political leaders in your respective positions, wherever you are, that there is a need for us to openly and sincerely engage our cadres who want leadership position by asking them that, what are you bringing on the table?
Yeah, not only engaging, but also grooming them.
Grooming them.
Yes, but that really said, let's look at dialogue now.
Yes.
That one of the greatest tools you're using as NCF is dialogue,
yes,
which is actually missing in our schools. That student leaders think that they can always use threats. That's when they become appealing to their fellow students, that they can always threaten the administration. They can threaten, actually, people are supposed to help them. So, and when the threats fail, we've seen strikes, we've seen demonstrations, we've seen property being destroyed. So how do we develop dialogue among students? It's like the spirit of dialogue, so that they know that, look here, even when there is a disagreement between the students and the administration, a very good dialogue can actually have that solved.
It's like you stripped through our paper and you looked at all the activities that we're intending to do. That was very good of you. In fact, one of the core activity that NCF has been having a hurdle to persuade leaders by way of dialogue in looking at options. There is this, but there's also that. Is something that all political parties have been practicing, especially again during primaries. For example, if I give you an example of UPC, in the northern region, and specifically Lango region, you'll find that if you are contesting to be a member of parliament, in each constituency, there are 10 people capable to pick nomination cards, and they are willing. Yeah, they are all from UPC. Now, Honorable Jima Kena has been using dialogue to try and persuade maybe 60% on those people who should appreciate that the reason why we are saying the other one is because of A, B, C, D. And in most cases, you risk conflicting with them if you told them the truth. That if you weighed this person and you, we are better off as a party to front the other one because we shall give FDC a position if we took on you. we do a SWOT analysis and say that this is your strength, this is your weaknesses, but these are opportunities here. We have the view that, wait, tomorrow, then you come. You'll find that we are using dialogue. I have practically been part of that. But in areas where dialogue fails, that's what you saw, for example, in Tungam. To an extent that the president even comes and sends other people and say, wait a minute, this party of ours is so mighty. But the aspects to do with how somebody is brought up, the aspect of honesty, you will find that some can even go ahead to allege that I was told that I must be the one to be in this position, whereas he is not told. So it borders on aspects to do with those values, that integrity we are talking about in civic education. So it is challenging as NCF we are taking up that matter to be candid, to be very honest to ourselves and tell our prospective candidates that in this region we have done a SWOT analysis. Here in Uganda we are a little weak. Why don't we position ourselves the other side where we can?
Where we have a comparative advantage.
When we have a comparative advantage. But you as a leader, you risk conflicting with that candidate if you propose that. It's a challenge, we must manage it because that is how the trend is, and this intended program of the 14th region is, among other things, going to indulge on how we can have very smooth elections come 2016 by way of accepting our SWOT analysis. Where are you strong? I remember Ndugurugunda would always tell us that don't look at only becoming a member of parliament. Why don't you become a councillor, then you come, then slowly. I have seen Basalra singing that song. I've seen Honorable Jim McKenna singing that song. I've seen Mau singing that song, courtesy of National Consultative Forum. That you do a SWOT analysis and tell
you have to begin from somewhere.
Yeah, begin from somewhere so that you come, so that tomorrow there will be a justification for you now to go the other side.
To be somewhere.
To be somewhere. Because if all of you came here, like the Yala one, if everybody came for Yala, now who will be remaining in that position?
Yeah, of course you're talking about Yala. Do our students understand what is Yala and how Uganda nominates and elects the 9 members of the East African Legislative Assembly, the roles of the East African Legislative Assembly, and how Uganda conducts such elections in a multi-party dispensation? You as NCF, have you really come out to educate the masses? Then secondly, one would want also to educate them on the difference between NCF and iPod.
Okay. To begin with the Yala, NCF, we left that responsibility to individual political parties
yes.
to actually carry on that sensitization. That is going on, apparently. We have not had a complaint from any political party saying there are a few issues we don't understand. Otherwise, our secretariat is available and all the information is available. So we gave a task to secretary generals of political parties to actually make sure they are in their structures, that is aware. The difference between iPod and NCF is that iPod has political parties represented in parliament. But now NCF has all registered political parties. The difference is that in NCF, we bring everybody on board as it is emanated in the law. And we do similar thing. For example, in pushing for national dialogue, iPod has been playing a very key role as one of the partners who have been partnering with for national dialogue. You can see structures like UJCC playing a very key role, the Elders Forum playing a very key role, the Women Situation Room playing a very key role. So we've been bringing everybody else on board. The difference is only that in NCF, there are other political parties who did not get a chance to have members of parliament, like Anti, but they are on board. They are on board.
Well, that is very good information, because
Yes.
one wants to know iPod, then NCF, and perhaps how do they work together. And of course, ELA. Yes, now, of course, we're seeing parties, UPC has started the process. NRM will also be doing the same, FDC, and any other party that will, also DP, that will be interested in sending their members to the East African Legislative Assembly. And of course, that election is very, very key, because we have two regional, two Pan-African parliaments, that is the Pan-African Parliament and then the regional parliament at the East African Community. Yes. But if you ask many students how actually Uganda selects her representatives to those regional and continental bodies, I believe very few would be able to. Yes,
they don't know.
Yes. Now let's look at teachers, of course, of SST and teachers of maybe political science or general paper. How should NCF engage them so that perhaps, if need be, in National Curriculum Development Center should look at perhaps reviewing the curriculum. We should have such a curriculum, especially in those particular subjects whereby we see that there is a lot of civic awareness, so that students can know their rights as citizens, can know their strategic interests for their country, can know the strategic dangers of their country, strategic opportunities, and perhaps how they can live harmoniously with the rest of the citizens.
I need to be very honest with you. NCF, there is a way we derive at our agenda at the plenary. Up to this level, we have not yet, as NCF, derived that agenda in our plenary to focus specifically on that direction. But what I know is that the state has been pushing a lot on aspects to do with the engaging youth for sciences, vis-a-vis the other aspect where our civic education comes from. And in our view, as NCF, we think civic education cuts across and should begin a little early, so that now when you reach a level where you go for science and whatever, at least the values...
You're already a good citizen.
Yeah, you go to already the values are inculcated in you. And in the near future, if we deem it fitting, I would raise a proposal to the plenary so that we look at that specifically, get a consultant to look at that and maybe source for funds, and in the future we may go in that direction.
Well, I can see really time is not our best ally, but I would wish you to perhaps share with us the vision of NCF in as far as engaging the education sector is concerned.
The vision, as I indicated to you, is one which is very key, that there is a code of conduct, how political parties are supposed to behave. Once you are registered and you are political parties, there are aspects that NCF, you remember recently the president assented to a bill that now mandates NCF to execute the code of conduct. And we are calling upon political parties that, aware of the fact that that mandate is already with the NCF, we are engaging, beginning with the top party leadership, to let them appreciate that document. Then we roll out together with the other program in all other regions, so that at the end of the day, some of these soft targets of the youth can be achieved, but we need to move holistically so that the entire country appreciates the value that NCF has put on board. Right now, we have not flagged it off, but we have sent our budget to Parliament to be approved so that we can be empowered to roll out that program down the road. And if it comes out, it will be very good. I will request that you call me back and I now let you which district we are beginning with, so that we are focusing on 2026 to reduce the tensions, to make sure that these forthcoming elections come 2026 actually go without the tensions we saw.
Let's look at this. Students who are now in primary, because and actually senior 1, senior 2, most of them are 13, 14, 15, senior 1, senior 2, implying that by 2026, most of them, actually 90% of them, will be new voters. And that's why it is very, very important as NCF to have a very good elaborate program of training the students on peaceful, on dialogue, peaceful elections, peaceful participation in any political activity. Yes, time is really not our best ally. Yes. But now let's look at, as we conclude, the funding of NCF. Yes. Yes, and perhaps, of course, you've talked about government. Yes. But do you have any other partners in terms of sourcing for resources so that you can have your activities rolled out?
Yes. Through the good leadership of Ndugu Right Honorable Rugunda, we have been having UNDP on board, helping us on specific capacity building programs that has seen this level of eloquence you see in me is courtesy of UNDP, making sure that they build the capacity of NCF members. And we have also had some support from other donors, let alone what government gives us. What government gives us is one basket in a year. Though it is not enough, but it has been able to make us, among other things, move as a team. As I told you initially, that when we were beginning, it was very hard to sit with an NRM and the FDC on the table.
On the same table.
On the same table, just sitting without even. That's why this NCF and iPod has been fronting the aspect of dialogue. He said, when you are dialoguing, we disagree to agree. Even if I don't believe in what you have told me, but I need to respect those views that you express. And we don't need to quarrel. We don't need to fight because you have said, no, I disagree with you. We have to find an alternative of now setting an agenda. Like in NCF, we agree on an agenda that all political parties are going to run, but peacefully. That's what even iPod was doing. Peacefully, we agree to have an agenda, then we move the country. So far, we have been doing so well, and we pray to God that we access more funds so that we roll out a few of those aspects we have identified.
Well, I must thank you very much, Mr. Michael Osinde Orach, the spokesperson of the National Consultative Forum, a forum that brings together all registered political parties in the country to chart the way forward. And we've been looking at what should actually be the role of the NCF, the political parties, in raising civic awareness in our students, because ideally some of the students are not aware that the rights they claim to, or they say that they are denied particular rights. They don't know that every right has a corresponding obligation. Manda Kola Mazima is my name, saying bye-bye and wishing you a blessed Saturday.